Need that. Hold on, Brad. Make sure we on here. I'm gonna tag you. Hold on.
I see it too. Just probably on my iPad. My iPad was dead. I'm like, damn.
It was dead?
Yeah, it was. I put it on the charger. It's charging now. I just had to use the phone. I ain't got my laptop with me over here. I left it at the house. I mean, at my girl house.
Hold on. Let me tag you in this. Hold on, Brad.
Okay. I seen the tag too.
It said your name on there?
Huh?
It said your name when I tried to because if I'm trying to tag you so it'll show up on your page. If not, I can always go back, but if we do it this way, then you're hey Tasha, hey Rachel. I'm trying to tag Brad real quick so it can show up on his page, but hold on. Brad, what you been doing today?
I was at Home Depot earlier getting some stuff, and then I finna get back to working on this house. But I ain't really did none of this shit. Nothing major. I need to eat. That's what I need to do. Cause I ain't ate yet.
You ain't nothing? So you finna fall out on this live. Is that what you're saying?
No, that ain't what, that not
it's not exactly what I'm saying, but it could. I mean, oh wait, I think I got it.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. So now that we know if you fall out.
Let's hope for the best.
Okay, so I think we're good.
Okay, I see. Yep, it's just saying.
We're good.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna have my hey us.
Look, you silly dog.
Hey us. Let me make sure they can hear us good, and then we finna give it to them. Hold on.
You silly dog.
So if you don't want that echo, you know how to do it, right? You have to either mute it on your I'm just you got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was just making sure the tag came through so I could glance at it real quick. It's all good.
Okay, so I just asked if people can hear us. I just sent a message to my sister, so I'm sure she can. I'm not going to try to multitask because I'll get to looking at Facebook so I'm just going to focus on us. And if we get some questions, we'll address them later. But thank you for agreeing for me to intrude on your Saturday.
Man, it's all right.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Erika Genice, you're Brad Facts. Do you go by anything else?
Yeah, I mean, well, on my book, on the cover of the book, it's Brandon Jordan.
Okay.
Which, but not many people call me Brandon because I don't know why, really. I mean, I went to school with some people that still call me Brandon.
So is Brandon your real name?
My real name, yeah.
Where did Brad come from? I've known you for Brad since we were born, so. Where?
Cameo.
Oh, so that's not your middle name?
Nope. So look, my mama called me Brand, which is obviously short for Brandon, right?
Yeah.
So when we was kids, Cameo used to say Brad because he couldn't really pronounce Brand. He was like 4, maybe 3 or 4. So we was real little. So
yeah,
it kind of stuck. And from that time, half my family literally called me Brad. So that's just, it's easier to say. It's less syllables. It's easier to say.
Yeah. So not first name, no middle name. It's just I couldn't say Brand.
Yeah. He just couldn't say Brand. So it was just like, and I ain't think nothing of it until later on when everybody asked the question that you just asked. Like I get that That's when people realize, okay, like when the book came out, they was like, Brandon, this ain't. I'm like, yeah, it is. They like, how did you get? And I'm like, I just tell a story. Like, okay. So you know, Cameo, man, for even, you know.
I was just about to say that. Shout out to Cameo. I totally, and we'll get into our background on how we kind of know each other, but I will never forget Mario for sure.
Right.
So anyone who's watching this video, please like and share. It's going to be some amazing content. I'm so excited that Brad has agreed to have this conversation. So please like, please share. So let's get into our beginning. Like, how do we know each other? I'm gonna let you tell that one.
All right, so it's been a long time. Like, man, I'm an ageless too, though. Like, cause we, you know, we don't look as old as we are, but
yeah.
No, it had to be about 87, man. Probably, cause you know, I'm gonna tell you this. I wasn't born here.
Okay, where were you? Chicago?
I was born in Lawton, Oklahoma, because my dad was in the Army.
Okay.
My grandma then moved on 23rd, 82, 83, somewhere around there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we came to Milwaukee after my dad discharged around like 87, 88, somewhere around there. And y'all have been living over there, man. How long was y'all living over there? Y'all was living there then, right?
So I was born in 83.
Right.
And when we moved to 23rd, I had to be 6.
Yeah.
Because that's not where my initial house was. I forgot where the other house was.
Right.
But when we went to 23rd, I had to be 5, 6. I don't know. Mom, you on here? Tasha on here too. Give us a year. But I don't.
So that house, I've never known anybody else to live in that house but y'all. Even when I ride past to this day.
It's the Birdsong's house.
And I just see y'all on the porch because for me, that's the bird. And listen, it's crazy because I didn't realize y'all full last name was Birdsong.
Really?
Because we always called your dad Bird. So
yeah.
Like, what up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then later, me and LaRon might have been riding somewhere. We might have been riding somewhere, man. Probably about to do some bullshit, to be honest. But we got pulled over.
Yeah.
And he gave the police his license. And the police had his name, Birdsong. I'm like, who is that? They're like, what is this?
Who is this person?
Yeah, and that's how I found out. And I'm like, but yeah, but no, it's never been a time where I looked at that house and didn't think about y'all. The whole family, I'm talking about you, Dre, Tasha, LeBron, Sean, like all of y'all, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, so now even now when I ride through, I see that house, even the house that was there that we had is gone now. But that space is like,
oh yeah. There's certain people that like, even when I think about how the houses were set up, like Jermaine and Katrina was across the street, then next door from us, whoever had that pit bull.
It was
remember that pit bull got out and no, right next door to us. So you know we had the
on the corner.
Yes. So remember we had the what was the what's that little space that we had where you could drive through? I guess an alley.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could have been, but it's all narrow and kind of cut off over there.
Right.
Too. But I forgot it was always a bunch of different people in and out the house, but we knew them all though. The house.
Yeah. Somebody had a pit bull. I'll never forget because the pit bull got out and attacked me, but it never bit me because I think LaRon said like they kind of remember who we were. And I think the dog just kind of remember us from being there, but that dog was a killer. And when he came, he just was playing. I was like, Lord have mercy. And then John, remember was across the street. So yeah.
All the time.
Who, John?
All the time.
Yeah. So we have some memories from that neighborhood for sure.
Yeah. I remember chain around the tree with the dog chained up to the tree in y'all driveway right there.
Who? Yes, Shine. It probably was Shine. You know, Shine was the dog person. Don't get me started with Shine and these dogs. So cool. So
and just for anybody that may wonder how we do this, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. So So of course, this conversation is from prison to purpose.
Right.
That is the title of it. I'm excited to get into it. Let's jump straight into your background. So from when I was 5 and all of that other stuff, some stuff didn't happen. Some stuff that popped off along the way. We moved. I mean, it's just been a lot. So I know that you spent some time in prison. Let's talk about that. So what did you go to prison for, and how old were you when you went?
Well, I was in 1997, I was 15.
Okay.
I was a freshman in high school going to John Marshall. And I think I had been in school for about 6 months, maybe. And I went to prison for, it was armed robbery and attempted homicide, which they reduced to reckless endangerment and safety while armed, right?
Okay.
And we committed the crime right up around the corner, up on 25th on Brown by the store. Me and my cousin, and who you know, but who should remain nameless. But
yes.
yeah, so I went to prison for that, but then I didn't really realize it would lead to prisons per se, right? Because I knew I was a juvenile, and I was privy to the fact that certain crimes for juveniles would result in kind of a slap on the wrist to some degree, right? So I didn't really realize the magnitude of the crime that I committed and how it was going to affect my life 25 years later. But so yeah, I went to prison for armed robbery, attempted homicide. But I went to DT first, to the detention center, the juvenile justice center up there, okay, in Milwaukee. But so while I'm there, I hear talks and whispers about me being waived into the adult system. So I'm like, no, this ain't. I'm like, no. At the time, my mother was working in the county for the probate department. So she would, she was in these circles with these judges and the lawyers and the DAs, all these different people who dealt with the criminal portion of the courthouse. So she was getting tidbits of information like, yeah, they talking about waiving you. And then my lawyer at the time, who my heart goes out to and my respect and deference goes to, Robin Shello. I spoke with her a couple of years ago. I just called her and just thanked her for all the work that she did for me at the time, because it was pro bono. She read my story and she empathized.
Yeah.
And reached out to my family and wound up becoming my lawyer in DT. And she wasn't even a juvenile lawyer at the time, but she took the case. So she was telling me the same thing, like there's talks of you being waived. I'm like, what does that even mean? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
She's like, well, they're looking at the fact that somebody got shot. And coming from where we come from, people get shot. That's not an uncommon thing.
At all.
So,
it was the norm.
Yeah. So my perspective was, hey, but he didn't die.
Right.
She was like, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is somebody was shot, which kind of elevated the severity and the gravity of it. And I was like, damn. So one thing led to another. I went to court and I did get waived. I might have been in the juvenile system at that time for 2 months, maybe 2 months, from February to about April. And in April, they waived me and sent me down to the county jail.
At what, 15?
15, yeah.
Wow.
And it's crazy because that thing called serious juvenile offender, which, that's the definition for SJO, that acronym. And typically people get, the serious juvenile offenders get 5 years, but they would split it 2 years in Wales and then 3 years, which is, getting out of school for boys. 2 years in Wales and then 3 years on probation. It's like I wasn't even considered for that. And it was people that had worse crimes than me that was sent to Wales. So the ironic thing was they waived me. They sent me to Wales from the county jail. And the logic was I was too young to go to Dodge Correctional Institution. But everybody left in the county jail was going to Dodge.
Yeah.
Baffled, like, so I'm in Wales 15 as a lawful adult. So let's just say I had a fight or anything took place that could have been considered criminal, I would have been charged again as an adult, even though I was 15.
Wow.
So
yeah, so my question, my lead up question, which was the next one, but it just perfectly flowed, was do you feel like the sentence matched the crime?
I mean, for an adult, yes. For a kid, nah. Because it's like, so if you look at my record right now, my juvenile record and my adult record is identical. Because I was never charged as a juvenile.
I was straight adult.
It's just, I was arrested as a juvenile, but I was charged as an adult.
Yeah.
So it makes it seem as if my adult record is extensive. And it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's not, because I didn't turn 21 until 5 years later or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. Do I think the sentence? Because you kind of have to parse that. As a child, I watched people come in the system, while I was in the county jail with the same crime that I had, 10, 15 years older than me, and got less time.
Yeah.
So that I kind of realized something might not be right.
Yeah.
Something might not be right. So, but I don't think the punishment matched the crime, only because in the legal sense it did, because I was facing more time than that. But if you're talking about morality, scientifically knowing that a person's brain isn't fully developed until 25, 26 years old, I had a decade of psychological growth to become an adult, what would be considered as an adult. So I don't even think any of that was taken into consideration. I think personally they wanted to cut the potential off at the knees and send a message to whoever came behind me. Hey, it's serious. Clinton had just got reelected. He was the tough on crime president. So it was. I kind of got swept up in the wave of mass incarceration and the political landscape of what was existing, or what existed at that time. So I don't think.
Yeah. And I mean, growing up where we grew up and just watching people, Black men in particular, be over sentenced for things that other races and with the exact same crime they would not have done the same time. And you see it time after time after time after time again. And so,
but if I was a 17-year-old white kid that crossed state lines with 2 illegal firearms and killed 2 people and injured a third, I'd have got off. You see what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. So, I mean, I think that was the thing, where my biggest challenge to not becoming bitter came in. Like, it was so hard because I was seeing so much. I'm like, man, every story that came on the news that was pertaining, that was involving juveniles and crime, where they got less time than me. And I was just like, man, I'm not gonna lie, for a long time, it was gnawing at me. And I'm like, but I recognized it though. So that was the big thing for me, is that how it was kind of bothering me. So, but yeah, I don't think it fit.
Yeah. Do you feel like, we talked about our where we grew up essentially, and not, we didn't dig into as much as we saw, which we saw a lot growing up as kids, way too much, that we don't even have enough time right now to talk about as much as we need. But do you feel like your childhood and the way that you were raised played a part to you, even getting caught up to doing this sort of crime?
Yeah, definitely. Because I come from a good family, right? I had a really good family structure. My mom, hardworking, education advocate. She just, she was big on that. But I read somewhere, there was a study that they did years ago about the environment environmental influences and familiar influences. So in most cases, you can come from a really good household, but the environment that household is in,
yes,
greater influence on you than the actual. Because you got to think about how much time you spend outside of the household. You spend time going to school. You spend time going to the store. You spend time hanging out with your friends. You spend time on the bus stop. You spend time a lot of different aspects. In a lot of different aspects, you spend time outside of the house.
yeah, yeah.
And with your friends, with their families, with just playing in the neighborhood. So you see certain things, you hear certain things, and you experience certain things that you probably wouldn't see, hear, or experience in the household. So it speaks to a different aspect of who you are, even when you don't even realize you possess that aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
That's so true, Brad. I didn't even think that deep, because sometimes you're like, well, you come from a great family, and you hear all of these stories, which maybe right. But the majority of the time as kids, we're outside. And this is when outside was a thing. Kids now they don't go outside. Okay. We were outside. Like, don't come back into the street lights type of, go off. That we was outside. Yeah. And so the kids that we experienced and their upbringings, and like everyone was just so different, but we were all exposed to so much so quickly, and either it turns you to it or away from it, right? But most of us kind of went towards it, right? And so I didn't even think about that, of how just playing outside with certain environments, right, could really shape how you become as a kid, as an adult.
Yeah, and I can hear my mom asking right now, when I do or say certain things, who you get that from? Yeah. And it's like, well, I was with such and such, or I'm in school 8 hours a day. Yeah. And it's like, it's just so much outside of the house, in a household, that can influence you and that you can really deem cool, or I think that's dope. And don't let it be in the house too. If it's it's double. It's inescapable. Yeah, yeah. So I'm seeing my uncles, I'm seeing their friends, and my friends, and their uncles, and their cousins, and whoever else that we looking up to. It's like, man, I want to be that. Yeah, it's cool, right? They normalized it, and that's all that you've known. I remember I got into my first fight at Cecil's, right, where the corner store, and I was petrified. Right. And my brother's girlfriend at the time, she was like, no, you gotta get it out of the way, right? You gotta get your first fight out the way. I'm like, why? I don't want to fight. Right. It was the dumbest fight. But I remember after that shaped me, right? I gotta consistently fight all the time. Females are gonna fight me. Every hood I go to, everywhere I go, I need to be defensive. But that was the root of it. That first fight really set off of, I'm gonna fight wherever and whoever. And so that trickled down to, like, I went to college fighting, like, for no reason, just angry. But that sort of seed that's planted at such a young age, it's hard to escape. And that's all I've seen was girls fighting. And if you couldn't fight, then that's how you weak, you a punk. And so I grew up in that environment. So I was ready at whatever, and when I went to school, they like, she's from Wisconsin, she's some white girl. You know how they think about people from Wisconsin, not knowing Milwaukee, the straight slums. Right. Straight slums. And so they were like, wait, hold on, she fighting? Yeah, I was with it. But it was just that's how I grew up. And it just became such a toxic sort of mentality and behavior that I had. But it was really because of the environment that I grew up in. And to expound on that, like, it wasn't until I went away for a significant period of time, went away from that, not just went away to prison or went away and got away from that, where I realized I had been living life from the outside in. Because I allowed the outside and all of the things outside of who I am to influence who I really am internally. Yeah. So I went away and I started to say, damn, like, I became a person that I have been watching and observing.
Yeah.
And you know, as the saying goes, as a man think, so he is.
Yeah.
So the more the things that you think about, the more things that you see, the greater the likelihood of you becoming those things.
Yes, yes. Especially where you don't see anything else.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have, like you said, once you went away, you're able to see different things. But when you're living in that environment and you have no other choice, then you become that. You become a product of that easily.
I'm gonna give you an example, right?
Okay.
So when I was locked up, I used to read the paper. I used to read. At the time, it was the Metro in the Journal Sentinel.
Okay.
It's I think it became the Local or something now, but I used to just read about what was happening. And we know the news ain't never really got much positive things to say. They don't really got nothing. They don't talk about the graduations. They don't talk about all of the beautiful things that take place in the community because it's ratings based, right? And it's a numbers game. So I'm reading the paper every day, and I'm like, man, dog, they going crazy in Milwaukee. What the hell is going on? Like in 2005, I think it was 28 homicides in the month of July alone, right? So, but in 2004 was the first time that Milwaukee didn't have 100 homicides since 1991.
Yeah.
1991, 2004, which is like that time frame was when we grew up. You know what I'm saying? So being in it, you don't really see how detrimental it is and how dangerous it is. The moment you step outside of it, you look and be like, God, them niggas lost their mind.
Yeah, it's something different.
When somebody else was outside of it looking at you and saying because you was a part of the chaos, you was a part of the carnage, you was a part of whatever else was going on. But the moment you step away, it's like, oh, I see what they was talking about.
Yeah,
They told me I wouldn't see 18, 21, 25. I get it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes it takes a little detachment for you to be even more connected to what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel like prison traumatizes individuals?
I'm gonna give you an example, right? And this story pops into my mind a lot of times. I remember going to the county jail, right? And being so small that they didn't even have clothes that fit me.
Oh, wow.
Right? So they gave me, and okay, they give you a roll in the county jail when you first get, they give you a roll of the oranges. It's a box, it's a pair of pants, it's a shirt, it's a t-shirt, and it's a pair of underwear.
Okay.
Now, typically people don't wear the same size from head to toe.
Yeah. It's not a one size fit all.
Yeah, it's not like So I'm trying to figure out, I don't even know what size to get because I've never been here before. It ain't like shopping in Cole's department store or Mayfair where you're going. So I said, well, you know, just give me a medium or a small or something like that. So he gave me a medium. And I was so small at the time, like I say, I was 15. I might have been 110 pounds or something like that, if that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he gave me the clothes, I put them on, and the underwear didn't fit. It's like the elastic was gone from the underwear or something. You know what I'm saying? So I had to tie him in the knot on the side for him to fit.
Yeah.
So damn, like this, I didn't think about that at the time. I just, you know, you kind of just make it through things as they arrive. So I was like, this don't even make sense. I knew that much, but this don't even make sense, right? And I requested a smaller size. They told me, you get what you get. I'm like, damn. It's like my heart just sank. I'm like, man. And in that moment, I realized how much of a kid I was, right?
Yeah.
No matter what I had been doing on the street, but and then going to segregation. So, and if for people that don't know what segregation is, it's just that, it's segregation. You are segregated from the general population of the rest of the institution. And how I like to describe it is, if you take somebody and incarcerate them and you take them out of society, that's segregation because they're being segregated from society. And so yeah, being like I said in segregation in the hole, they call it, for months when I was 15. And I mean, we social people. We are social as human beings, we social people. So sitting in a room by yourself for an extended period of time is like, dang, who am I gonna talk to? So I created characters, and I've always been a creative person and an imaginative person, but I created like stories and storylines and characters in my head.
Yeah.
Because when I couldn't talk to somebody down the hall or through the ventilation system, I was just imagining me having these people around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and it was for the purpose of survival, but the problem is some people never get out of that.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask you that, like, being in that space for months, right? You're creating characters, you're just doing whatever you need to survive. And then now they put you back in general population with people. I would only imagine that it would just be hard to just shut it off. Like, okay, right?
I couldn't shut it off. So what I did was I started writing. And the characters that was up here, I put them on paper. And in retrospect, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. I was just like, man, I got an idea. Bam. But initially that idea was to help you get through this situation.
Yeah.
And deal with what's at hand. So I would put them on paper. I wrote short stories, I wrote books, I wrote raps, I wrote poems, I wrote all types of stuff. And a lot of it was allegorical. And I'm like, man, like, I never once thought about doing something with that stuff. I was just like, I gotta put this on paper to get it out of my head.
Get it out, yeah.
When I got it out of my head, I was fine. Some of that stuff I didn't memorize because if I rememorized it, it would be back in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a mental game I play with myself for the purpose of survival. And like I say, sometimes people never get out of that. So you see him now, who did a whole lot of time in prison. It's like, what is wrong with dude? He never released those things and those characters and those voices in his head.
Yeah.
So you find an outlet, but that's definitely a traumatic, a description of how traumatic things can be and how I was personally traumatized by that situation. I mean, it's a lot more, but that's one thing that kind of pops out to me.
Yeah, I say I can only imagine, but I don't even know if I can. It is not good. It's just not good. And like you said, to already be, when I think about people going to the hole, so my uncle has been in jail since I was born and probably before he had like 19 life sentences. And that's an extreme, but several life sentences. And I remember him saying like he was consistently in the hole, right? And so you're already in jail away from people, and then you got to get further away from people.
You get used to
it. Yeah. Like, do you?
Yeah, you get used to being alone. Yeah. Like yeah. Being alone and because like for some people, they talk to other people there because you can talk to other people if you're close enough or if you can hear through the vent or whatnot. Yeah. But for some people, I know people that did the entire time in the hole because it became normal.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
There's a quote by a guy named Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. Him and his whole family wound up in Auschwitz concentration camp in the 1930s during the Holocaust. And he wrote a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. And in this book, there's a quote where he said, an abnormal situation, an abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is a normal reaction. Mm. Right? And I wrote it down and put it on my wall. And I didn't really understand it at first. I was like, that's deep as hell. How? I don't get it. And then one day it clicked, and I likened it to the idiom, when in Rome, do as. So if you're in a different culture and you live in, you go visit a different country and you don't at least adapt to the laws and the customs and the traditions over there, then you really gonna have a hard time. Yeah. So institutionalization is necessary when you spend a great amount of your life in an institution. Yeah. purpose of survival.
Mm.
Again, like I said, the problem is a lot of people never get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what you want to describe it as. You can call it fortitude. You can call it being blessed. You can call, I don't know. I just know that I got out of it and I'm better in spite of it and not because of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is not, as we know, very, very near and dear. We have people close to us that we know that's just not their story, which is why I was so fascinated with you and your story and your survival, because that's honestly not the norm.
No, it's not.
At all. Why do you feel like people get stuck in like the back and forth, right? Like you hear, I have a lot of family members, I'm sure you do too, and just even friends and people who have family members and friends where a person goes to jail or to prison and they serve X amount of time, right? And you're like, okay, woo, that should be enough, right?
Right.
You got it. You'd have been away from your kids, your family, your money. You constantly having to rebuild, right? At some point that gets old. But then you see people who consistently go back and forth. And it's like this back and forth game to where now it's normal for them to be in jail versus them being out. Have you experienced people like that in your life? And if you have, what seems to be the common theme behind that?
I have become one of those people.
Okay.
But part of the reason I had become one of those people was because I went away so young. So I was growing up and I was still, all of the mistakes that having had that crime, that charge so young and so early in life, all of the mistakes I made after that led to prison.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a real crime, even if it was just a violation of a rule, I went back to prison because I was on probation or parole. But so I think, like I was saying before, it became easy to go to jail. It became almost a part of who I was.
It's part of your identity.
Yeah. It was, I had normalized dysfunction. And I didn't even realize it. I'm gonna tell you something. So I went in 97 and I was gone for 3.5, almost 4 years. And so much had taken place within those 3.5, almost 4 years behind those walls. It was frustrating because they strip you of everything, your rights, your dignity, or they attempt to strip you of your dignity. And it's a grand attempt to strip you of that. Yeah. So when I came home, people always come home. People like, hey, yeah, dog just got out, he just came home, whatever. Yeah. And nobody checks the mental health of that person. People just, oh, man, he good, he out here.
Yeah, he out now, what we doing?
Yeah, he looked good. I think I got to smoke, we gonna do whatever. So
right.
I was just looking around, I felt so different. Like I felt so different, but I never ever verbalized it though. So I went back, not intentionally, I went back for using a stolen cell phone. This is how egregious and diabolical the system is, right? So I had a job and I was leaving work one day and the guy I was working with had a phone and wanted a ride. I didn't even have a car at the time. I said, well, I can us a ride, but I don't got a phone. He let me use the phone. The phone he let me use wound up being stolen from the hotel that we worked at.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, he stole it while he was at work.
Yeah. So I'm like, I used the phone, got us a ride. We left, went home and stuff. And next thing I know, my PO calling me about a week later telling me to come see him. I'm like, for what? I go down there, he locked me up, tell me I stole the phone. It was circumstantial evidence. I was the only one on probation or parole. Nobody else was on probation or parole. So it was a target on me. Yeah, right?
Anyway. It was gonna be on you anyway. So just waiting for you to do something.
Yeah. So I went back to prison for 13 more months. I got 7.5 months for allegedly stealing this phone. And then I got 6 months revocation. So I'm like, I did 13 months. They ran it consecutively. I'm like, how is this? Like, how did I get back here?
Yeah.
So my morale had become really low. My self-worth had become really low. My self-appreciation had become really low. And when I got out in 2002, I viewed the world differently because I was 20 years old. I had did damn near 5 years in prison already. And I'm like, man, that's probably where I belong.
This is my life, right? This has to be it. I haven't seen anything different, right? From being 15 to 20.
Not to mention, I'm back in this same environment.
Yep.
I'm in the hood. I'm hanging with my cousins. I'm hanging with whoever. And they like, dog, you went and did that. Like there's a false sense of bravado that comes with doing this time and coming home.
Yeah.
It's the worst shit in the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because now as opposed to somebody saying, you got to do something different. They pat me on the back and giving me praise and accolades for being able to go up there and come back. Seemingly untouched and unscathed. Really, I was damaged though.
So do you feel like that got to you? Like, all right, so when I go back in and come back out, I'm the man. And so did you feel like that high of it?
Like, it was like, well, they know Brad ain't gonna tell on nobody.
Yeah.
Because he used to go to jail anyway. So, and it's like, okay, so now I'm feeding to that BS narrative that, man, if you keep it real with the streets will keep it real with you. So I wound up back in the joint, right? I wound up back in prison for all things fighting the police. Listen, me and your
Brad,
brother.
you got to fight in the police, Brad.
A couple of times, yeah. Like honestly. And
just squaring up with the police.
In front of your house though.
Don't put that on our house.
No, listen,
house?
Tell you something. I was walking down, I left my auntie house, right? And I was going around the corner.
Uh-huh.
And as I'm walking past your house, I'm like, they probably in there sleep. LaRon, your brother called my name. I said, what up, dog? He's like, what up, where you going? I'm like, I'm about to bend the corner real quick. He's like, bet I'm gonna walk with you. Now he had just got out probably maybe 2 days before this. So he clean, he ain't got nothing, right? He's straight.
Yeah.
So we were going to walk in together. We went to turn the corner and the police hit the corner. Like they turned the corner so fast, they had to slam on the brakes to prevent from hitting him. And LaRon jumped back on the curb. I'm like, oh, wow. I try to run. It's another squad that come around. I don't even know why I'm running though.
you know when we see some cop cars, we running?
Yeah. But what they did, it was a thing that they had called field interviews, where they would go out and just snatch people up and put them in the car, run their name. If they had warrants, they had taken me. If they didn't, they won't.
I think I've heard of that before.
It's basically Milwaukee's version of stop and frisk.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's ludicrous, but okay.
Yeah.
And you in the hood, so you know somebody gonna have, come on, man.
Right. So they snatched me and LaRon up, put us in the back of the car, run his name, he get out the car. I said, damn, I look out. And he waited for me. They told him to leave.
Yeah,
they like,
of course.
Get away. They run my name. I had a warrant for my PO. I don't even know why, right? So they were about to take me downtown. Long story short, I kicked my way out the police car. I had a fight with them in the middle of the street. Of course, I'm outnumbered, 5,000. They come, everybody swarm on me, I go to jail. So now I'm back in the county. I've been out 5 months. I'm back in the jail. Some of the guys who I just left were still down there. I got to Riot, which is Racine Youthful Offender Correctional Institution in Racine, Wisconsin.
Yep.
I get back there for the third time. I opened Riot up in 1998 because they sent me from Wales to Riot the day it opened up. And so I'm just like, man, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
But I was like, I looked in the mirror and I didn't even really recognize the person I was seeing. I was like, how did I get from having all of this potential, being this person with such a promising future, to constantly sitting here, I just didn't get it. And I'm like, man, something gotta change. But again, I'm 20 years old. So I'm still trying to become the person that I want to become. I'm just evolving every day. And I felt it making less and less sense. But I wasn't ready to admit that it was making less and less sense to the people who I hung with on the street.
Yeah.
So I got out, and the sentence I had from 1997 was a 25-year sentence. It was 5 years for the shooting and 20 for the armed robbery. But the 20 was a stay sentence, which ultimately means that if you mess up during this probation stay sentence, you can get the entire sentence.
Yeah.
So I got out in 2003, and I was out until 2004. And I committed a misdemeanor. I had a misdemeanor marijuana charge, I had a theft charge, and I had fighting the police again, which was, they called it attempted to disarm a police officer, which was a lie. They dismissed it all eventually. But what happened in Wisconsin, when you are charged with a crime and you're on probation or parole, it's automatic revocation.
Yeah.
So though I beat the case, they dismissed it all. I got revoked from a crime I committed 7 years ago or 7 years prior, and I got 20 years in 2004. So if you count the 5 I did prior to that 2004 revocation sentence, I did 12 and a half years off of the 20 years. So I did 17 years and 3 months. And it was just like, it was at that time when I said to myself, yeah, this ain't it.
This ain't gonna work.
Ain't it, man. I said, no. Like, I had built relationships with people, like my friends in prison who I had never met on the street. I had never seen. Every time I went to prison, they were there. We thick as thieves, laughing, reminiscing, talking about the stuff that we did to get there, imagining plans we gonna have when we get out. And I sat for 12 and a half years. And that was the worst thing that could have happened for the system.
For the system, yeah.
Because I was always impulsive, I was always brash, I was always just a person who was quick to react. But that time alone, or that time in there, I looked at myself, I looked in the mirror, and I started to get to know myself better than I had ever known anybody in the whole world. Like I say, I was living life from the outside in. So I started looking inside out. And I started to shine from the inside out. And I said, yeah, they'd never get me again.
Yeah.
No, again. So I said, all of them years, I was ready to come home long before I was released, because I had prepared myself and conditioned myself mentally, morally, emotionally, all of these different things. I'm ready now. But they were ready to let me know. So all I did was just supplement it. Every time every chance I get, bam. I did all of these things just for me to give myself. I came home.
So what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when officially coming home? And do you feel like society was anywhere welcoming for you to come back? Did they make it easier? Did they have the resources? So one, what were some of the biggest challenges? And two, do you feel like society did a great job at welcoming you back and giving you some of those resources?
In short, society is never welcoming, whether you go to prison or not. As a Black man, as a Black person in society in America, it's never welcoming, because no matter how much you compromise yourself to accommodate somebody else, it's never gonna work, right? So I'm gonna get back to that. But my biggest challenge, in all honesty, was figuring out how I could be the person out here that I had become in there, because I had changed so much morally. I had changed so much fundamentally that I was no longer the Brad that they once knew.
Right.
So I said, damn, how, like, And I didn't even realize this would be a challenge though.
Yeah.
I just thought that I was gonna come home and slide right in, like, you know how you get.
I'm a new person.
Yeah,
I'm a new person. Welcome to New Brad. We good. Let's have some barbecue. No, I'm sure that shit changed a lot for your friends and the people that you're, used to being around. Like, I'm no longer that person.
Yeah. So you know the highway, right? And you just merge with the traffic, and you in traffic now in the lane.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was gonna be like that, but they wouldn't let me over. I was like, man, I can't get in.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't let me in. So what I did was, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna create my own lane. I'm gonna stay right here.
Yep.
So I stayed right there. But I didn't know how. I had to find the people. I had to find the people who spoke to who I was and who I am now. So what I wound up doing was, at that time, because I came home in 2016, at that time, a good friend of mine, Ed Hennings, who you may see me with a lot, with the big beard all the time, right?
Yeah, yep.
He was still in minimum and he was working at Z's Clippers.
Okay.
So I was down there every week. I would go every week, whether I needed a haircut or not. I was going to see him because he provided that fellowship that I had with him when I met him in the county jail in 97, and when we did the time together in recent years, 05, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we just talked about all of the stuff that we used to talk about. And it was not nostalgic, it was purposeful, and it was fulfilling to me. And I said, wow, like I never realized that. I couldn't really describe the feeling I was having at that time, but I knew it felt right. I knew, I'm like, yeah, these are the types of conversations I need to be having.
Right.
And a miraculous thing happened. A lot of the guys that we had those same interactions with started to come home. And I kind of built a network of people who understood where I came from and understood what I came through because they were there with me. It wasn't just the empathy. It wasn't just the imagination of, I can figure out what you went through. It was like, man, remember that time when they locked us in and yada, yada, yada. So now we here doing this right now. Yeah. So it be something. Yeah. But that was the biggest challenge for me. It was like, man. And then of course, like it was hard to get housing. Yeah. It wasn't hard to get a job. Though I found a job easy. And the sad part about that is this. The reason I found a job so easily is because Wisconsin made everybody a felon. So somebody had a job.
Somebody had to do something else. You weren't gonna have nobody.
Yeah.
That's
so
sad.
Like that, it was easy to find a job.
Yeah. So you're seeing a lot more employers like, we will employ felons because if we don't, we're not gonna have no workers. That's sad.
It is. So it's the double-edged.
Yeah, I was gonna say sad but fortunate too at the same time, depending on how you move with it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I had the typical challenges. But number one was that, and then number two was refamiliarizing myself with my relatives.
Okay.
And the people who I had grown apart from. You know how you see somebody you haven't seen in a long time and be like, damn, I wonder if he's still the same person, or I wonder if she still feels the same way about me or whatever. And it's like there's a glare in your eyes that give away to that curiosity. It's
yeah. And you get that even without being imprisoned, right? Like, I wonder if we have anything in common. So I can only imagine now,
Because sometimes people peak in high school, and that's it.
For sure. That's all they got.
Yeah, and then it's like the other people constantly elevating, and you see the person who's in the high school, and it's like, damn, we can't even really be friends no more because
I don't relate to you anymore. Yeah. Those seasons are real, Brad. You already know that. Like, even with me, just that's not necessarily being in it. The interesting part is I was telling my I think I was talking to Mom Bird about just like having the prison conversation and all of this. And, I think that we all at some point have been in prison, right? It may not been behind bars,
right?
But imprisoned in your mind, in your mentality. And so coming out of that in itself you start looking at things different. You start looking at people different. So I can only imagine with you getting out and being like, I want something different. So I don't want the same people. If you want this, I'm not, like my elevation looks different. And so that's just a constant shift that we're making throughout life in general.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the mistake of doing too. So I'm not the kind of person that'll say, I'm over with. Like, yo, I'm done with you. I can't. I've become that kind of person out of necessity. So I thought everybody wanted to grow, evolve, and elevate. I just believe that. Like, I remember Tupac saying something years ago when he got shot the first time. He said, man, it was a time where I genuinely thought that no black man would harm me because of how I felt about it. And it's a naive perspective. But so I was like, dog, come over here. I got this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. You ain't got to do that no more, whatever. Not to judge or say I'm better than that because, you know, you got to do what you got to do at the same time. Hey, listen. You have to do what you have to do, but know you have to change.
Yes.
There's nothing lasts forever.
Right.
And then people fought me tooth and nail by lying to me, by saying like, oh yeah, we gonna be there, man, Friday. And they don't show up. Yeah. It was you see him, it's like, oh man, I had to do this, and then my mama called me, and I had to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
so it was another visual acknowledgement of, it's good, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, everybody's not on that change journey, right? Everyone's not on that journey. And they may come, but it may just be at a different time.
Right. Yeah. I was just
yeah.
But everyone's not. And, you know, I'm an all-inclusive kind of guy. So if I'm doing good, I want y'all to do good with me.
Right. Yeah.
But some people just not accepting that and embracing that.
Yeah. I think it's the same with me, right? Where I'm like on this healing and self-love and and this journey of just becoming, right? And just becoming this better person. And not everyone around me, I don't necessarily say that they don't want it. We're just at different paces and we're at different places. And so sometimes you gotta try to take a step back, like, oh, okay, so we're not on the same page. Okay, cool. Because being around you gonna keep me stuck. I can't be stuck no more though. I've been stuck for way too long. So you're not elevating. It's just a, hey, how you doing? But as far as like core groups is very important. I'm glad that you found Ed. You say his name's Ed?
Yeah, man. Like me, listen, man.
I'm glad you found him.
Me and Ed, we go back 25 years, like for real.
Yeah.
That's my homie, man. You know, a good friend of mine. And a lot of the other guys who went through that with us,
yeah,
we just got a group of people. You know, it's a brotherhood. That we never really thought would exist. I guess we never thought to even think about it becoming that because we was just trying to get that situation.
Right.
We was just do it, and then you know when I came home, we started to see people like you said who were in prison that had never been behind those walls.
Right.
Like, man, you stuck. Like you are genuinely stuck. And for me, I just give them a hug and hold on to them for a few seconds and then be like, man, call me if you need me, man. You know, hopefully you'll get out of this one day. Hopefully, because I know where you at. I know how you feel. I know exactly how you feel, where you are. I know where you're going, and I know where you've been, and I understand it. So ain't no judgment. I think a lot of people talk to me with the expectation that they have to talk about the topics that I speak about. Like, no, fool, we can talk about anything. We ain't gotta talk about, we ain't always gotta be like, okay, listen, we gotta get better, we gotta do this. I said, no, we can build some bullshit too in conversation.
Conversation and be laughing like a mug, but I'm not gonna lay that out for real.
But I just think people, you know, they look at people and say, I gotta come correct when I talk to her, or come correct when I talk to him. And that alone, that recognition or belief alone can lead to monumental transition.
Yeah.
it can. So, but I had a lot of challenges, man. Like I had never driven on the freeway. Like I had never had my life. I had never paid no bills. I had never had a long-term relationship. I had never
Yeah.
a whole bunch of firsts.
Yeah, a whole bunch of I've nevers.
Yeah, like I had never been to Great America.
Mm-hmm.
I just had never done a lot of stuff. And I was cool with admitting that, like, I wasn't gonna pretend like, oh, I've been there. Hell no, like, dog, I'm having a ball right now.
The time of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, as you should. So
Yeah.
if you could just take a moment, because I'm gonna get into purpose in a minute, but if you could just take a moment and just pour into our younger generation, you know, some kids out here that are on the same track that we both were on, in the same sort of neighborhood. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them right now if they're listening to maybe not make some of the decisions that you made in the past? And yeah, how would you point to that?
I would say never stop dreaming and relax.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of speaking to my younger self as well, because everything was go, 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 go. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. You know, I grew up in the 90s, man, so it was a different time. But everything was in a rush. That's why they rush. That's why they speed around here right now in the street, because everybody is in a rush to go nowhere. Like you going nowhere really, really fast. And to speak in the literal terms, you zoom past me in traffic to get caught at the same light I'm at.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
So like the advice that I would give is, man, look, never stop dreaming. Take it easy and find somebody who you look up to that's doing something productive and latch on to.
Yes, that's so good.
I get a lot of guys, young guys that come home from Riot, and they're like, Brian Fast, what up? I was just in Oscar. I was just in Riot. I seen you on 414 Spotlight. You know, the video show here. I'm like, yeah, man. And they like, man, I make music too. Cool, let's go to the studio.
Yep, you know? Yep.
Or different inboxes from different people asking me for advice or whatever. Like, bro, listen, I don't have all the answers, but come hang out with me and I can show you what I do.
Yeah.
And how I've been doing and what I've been doing to get to where I am. So yeah, man, but the biggest piece of advice I would give is just never stop dreaming and never let nobody else superimpose their own lack of self-belief onto you. If they don't believe it, let them have that. Don't let them convince you that you can't do it because they can't do it or they didn't attempt to.
Yeah.
And man, to keep it 100, man, like they'll throw you away. The system would throw you away. They would throw you away and never explain why to your family. Yeah. And make it for your family to come and see you. They would throw you away and do away with you and not even care or think twice about what they did. Because that's what happened to me. The difference was, man, I don't know if it was God or if it was the universe, but by some divine entity placed me in the middle of people in the county jail at 15 who didn't take advantage of me, who didn't put me being 15, who treated me 15. And I was blessed. Like I'm looking back at that, like I was blessed to have those people around who wouldn't let me play basketball all day, who wouldn't let me watch TV all day, who told me to go read, who told me to go to school. Like those, because they seen what not doing those things did for them.
Yeah.
So I was blessed. And the young people just got to understand that it's not uncool to do the right thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not uncool to be sober. It's not uncool to say, you know what, I don't want no weed. I don't want to drink. Oh, that's fine. Because your health is your wealth. I don't care what you say, what people do, what people say. if you're not healthy in some degree, if you can't walk, talk, and do all this, you're not going to enjoy life to the fullest.
Anyway, yeah.
When prison, you're not going to enjoy life to the fullest. Like there's an existence that's there. You're not living life. You just here.
Yeah.
So just be patient, take it easy, and whatever you want to do, you definitely can do it. And don't let nobody ever discourage you or dissuade you from doing what you want to do, because they only doing it because they didn't do what they wanted to do.
Yeah. That mentorship is incredible, right? Because I think if you are able to latch on to just one person, maybe you don't have a village at first, right? And you can create your own village. But if you just have that one person that gives you hope, that'll take you so far. So absolutely, God was on you. I'm gonna say it for you. It ain't one the universe. God was looking over you when you were in jail, hence why you are who you are today and what you serve to our community and what you serve to other people. You have done tremendous, as hard as I know, and I don't even know all of your struggles, but for you to be the face of hope, it's so important. And so you were absolutely needed, and God saved you for this very moment. So let's talk about some of your work, because you're doing amazing things. I know you got the 3 Ps. You got to break that down. You have a book. You are an artist. Tell us some of the things that you've done since you've been back on the block.
Well, so the average person in prison has a lot of aspirations and a lot of dreams, right?
Yeah.
And what's preventing those dreams, aspirations, and whatnot from materializing is the physical barriers, the walls and the fences and the exit signs used.
Yeah.
So then when you come home, you realize there are no walls and no fences and barriers and stuff like that. Not physical ones, at least. So now everything is. So if you don't win, it's on you.
On you. Mm-hmm.
So I said to myself, I looked around, right? And I seen all of the hope. I seen a lot of broken people, a lot of broken individuals, and with fragmented principles and characters. I was like, they need somebody to, look up to. Because I looked up to people while I was there. I looked up to people in society. I looked up to people like Denzel Washington and Nelson Mandela, who was probably one of my favorite people of all time. Like people, the image that they painted Nelson Mandela is much different than the Madiba that grew up in the Transvaal in South Africa, man. Like he was a powerful dude, you know what I'm saying? But I came home and I made a vow to myself that I would go down this list of priorities, this list of dreams and aspirations, and I'm gonna check them off, right?
Yes. Yep.
And I finished the list. The only thing I didn't do that was on that list was sign up for school.
What was the first thing on your list?
The first thing was something benign, like go see my PO or something like that. Because I'm sure I did that. You know what I'm saying?
That's gonna keep me out. Let me get down to the first thing that's gonna have me do these checkoffs.
Yeah, the second thing was get my license. And I did that first because I was in minimum and I got my license then.
Okay.
The third thing.
Your driver's license?
Yeah, my driver's license.
Okay.
Yeah. I never had my driver's license before. So the third thing was release some music on every major platform. And I did that. The book kind of just became, like I had written books before, but nothing in that vein. Nothing that was like self-help or self-improvement or personal development or something.
Yeah. And I'm gonna drop all this information once I haven't been on Facebook because I'm enjoying this interview and I'll go back and do it, but I'll get your book information and where they can find it and all that good stuff. But I love your music. I didn't get to, when you sent me the entire album, I didn't listen to it all, but I told you that one song, I was playing it when you dropped on here and I'm like, yeah, I like that a lot. That's one of them light, heartfelt, upbeat, you know what I'm saying? Free is my thing. I love that song.
Yeah. I love it. Shout out to my homegirl Rebecca Burrell. That's who's singing the hook on there, man. So
Yeah, she did incredible. She did incredible.
So yeah, I fell into different things, and I kind of honestly look, Erika, like I became the unofficial spokesperson or spokesman for the guys that's still in prison.
Yes.
I get a lot of phone calls on a regular basis from these guys. They see me on TV, the videos and stuff like that. And it's like, man, and they start looking at me like, man, Brad, you. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm just trying to represent us the right way.
It's hope. You give them hope.
Part of that reason is because I was just there with a lot of them. Some of them still there. I sat in the day rooms and in rec yards and in rec and at chow hall with these same people.
Yeah.
Who left physically, and then they see me on TV, on the news or whatever the case is, and this is like, man, they call me and say, man, brother, probably. So it's like there's a huge shining, bright glimmer of hope that everybody.
Yes. And but all you need is just that small. You just need a little bit, right? And then, like you said, when people are able to touch you and say, listen, I was in prison with him. I had conversations with him, and like he did it. Little old Brad, if little old Brad can, why can't I? So it's the glimmer everyone needs. And I keep saying hope, but it's so real because it is, if it can be done by him, then maybe I have a chance. Maybe, right? And then the maybe you'll start.
That's my objective. Like some of these same songs I wrote in there. They heard them in there. So now they get video and it's like, oh wow, I remember when he wrote this.
I remember,
It's that thing. So my whole I kind of fell into the inspiration thing, and I was like, hey man, listen, if I can do it, then believe me, it can be done. Because my first music project was called The Facts of Life. That one is The Facts of Life too. And the cover of it is all of my mug shots.
I remember that.
It's 9 mug shots, and it's like, damn. And it's the faces, it's the different expressions, it's the different hairstyles, it's all of this stuff that signifies transition, change, and evolution. So the second one was a picture that I took at Brownstone downtown. When next door to Brownstone, it's a little bench that's sitting next door to Brownstone. We was outside pictures, and I took that picture down there. I said, I'm gonna make this the cover because we having a good time tonight. We celebrate, we having a ball. And it wasn't even really nothing specifically that we was just celebrating. For me, every day is a celebration because I'm free, you know what I'm saying? But so yeah, man, like I wrote the book, I won an award. I'm like, some of the stuff I never even imagined. It was just like, all right. Because it's crazy the journey that life will take you on when you embark on a journey filled with purpose, I'm gonna say. You know, when it's filled with purpose, the things that come to you are purposeful.
Yeah.
And I embrace it all. You know, like I had a guy inbox me, man, and I was amazed. And he told me, I prayed to God, man, that I would meet you one day.
Really?
And I'm like, I'm like, when I'm here, I gave you my number. I said, call me, man. And he called me and we met. And he gave me a hug and he said, dog, your music changed my thinking.
Yeah. I'm
like, what? Yeah, I'm just trying to, but what comes from the heart reaches the heart.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what it boils down to. And I'm just like, I never expected that because now I got expectations. Now I can't just be like, I'm done with this. I'm through, man. Did they see me quit?
You know, I always say, Red, I feel like even with me doing like these interviews, right, it is, I think the older that you get and then the more you draw into your purpose, you realize, oh, it has nothing to do with me. It's about what at all. So it's not about Erika, it's not about Brad. It's about what we're able to touch or who we're able to touch, right? And so that in itself is just a beautiful thing, that is not you're not self-absorbed. You're not all about me and all, look, whoa, I was in jail for this period of time and that, who cares? The world doesn't. Yeah. What matters now is how can I touch other people? Right. And you can see that you're doing that day in and day out. I mean, you exude that. So you are definitely living in purpose, and keep giving the world it, because we need it. I mean, it gives me hope, right? And like I told you earlier, it's, it's we be imprisoned in our mind. That's a whole different other beast. Yeah. And so to get out of that and to live in purpose is really what life is about. Right.
So with 3 P's.
3 P's, let's do it. I love 3 P's too. First of all, as soon as we get off, and I'm actually serious, I'm getting the book, and I need a hoodie.
I got you. So the 3 P's, right? So, they stand for power, purpose, and principle.
Power, purpose, principle. Okay.
So what I did was I modified it. I said, well, be powerful, be purposeful, and always stand on principle.
Okay.
Which is something that is something that everybody can embrace, because everybody is powerful. Everybody has purpose, and everybody will at some point in time stand on whatever principles that they believe in at that moment.
Yeah.
So it kind of just became something. Listen, again, most of these things and songs and conversations I have always been with myself. I just let the world be a fly on the wall, and people latch on to it and people like it, and it's like, man, I'm so grateful and appreciative that people like my thoughts, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
If I write a song and say, check this out, you like, that's dope. That's what I was thinking. So, the 3 P's are just, as you can see what's on my sweater, man.
I know, and every time you end your video, we all be saying the thing. We be powerful and always stand on print. Like we know what you're gonna say. We love it. It's your trademark. It's your it's what you represent. And so when you say things like that, we all kind of embrace it too, because like you said, we want to be powerful. Everyone wants to live in purpose and stand on principle, right? And when you think of principle, it better be something worthwhile. Everybody wants all that.
Definitely. Yeah. So I came up with that, man. It was just like, my mama was like, I like that. Mm-hmm. That's why I had something. My mama said she liked it, because she don't like nothing. No, she'd be like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, she'll write you off quick. I don't like it. I know I ain't gonna like it because of how you look. She will say some stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so like that became a thing, and it's cool.
It is. And it's real.
And then I started to put it on t-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff. I'm like, all right. And I kind of fell into the individuality portion of who I am. It's like, I don't really want to be dressed like dude.
Yeah.
I don't dress like whoever else. I just want something unique to me. And it just became something. And then I get, like I say, I get calls from guys like, hey man, I want a hoodie when I come home. I want a shirt when I come home. But it's like, all right. So I'm like, I sat back, I had a book signing last year for when the book Courage Under Fire came out. And it was full. Like when I say full, it was really, really full. And I was like, I had to step away for a second. I went to the bathroom and I was like, damn. Because for a second, I looked around at all of the people. I'm talking about people I went to Grand Avenue with, Sarah Scott with. And I'm like, man, people I met along the way. And I stepped away and I looked in the bathroom mirror and I was like, dog, you might be on something.
Yeah.
And it moved me emotionally, and I said, man, this is it. You know what I'm saying? I was proud. So, but yeah, again, to even have people rally around a book. Half of my cousins don't read, but they was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you'll be surprised how much people support you once you do something. Right. And it's maybe not even the people that's close to you, but even just people in general. when you're thinking, you're just thinking kind of small-minded. It's just you. You forget like the world needs it. And then when they show up, it's like, oh wait, y'all needed this? I didn't know that.
Right.
So that's why I always encourage people to just do whatever it is that you want to do, because people are going to show up. People need it, no matter what it is.
I always say, like when an album come out or some music come out that you didn't realize you wanted, like, damn, I needed this.
Mm-hmm.
Realize I needed that.
Yep.
I just want to try to, continue to be as productive as I possibly can and show people that it can be done, man.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on today. We're gonna wrap it up. I'm going to get your where we can get the book, and where we can do you have a website for the hoodies, or is it just we can just send you a message?
Yeah, I got a website, and you can inbox me too. It don't matter either way.
Okay, cool. So I'll get the information, then I'll put it in our live, and then I'll probably just retag you. But thank you, Brad. I appreciate. I'm so proud of you. Seriously, I'm so proud of you.
Definitely doing your thing too.
Thank you. We listen, where we came from, we don't see a lot of it. So I was so excited to see, especially a Black male from where you came from, make it out and just be doing amazing things. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad that we connected. So, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
All right.
Okay, bye.